Hi everyone, welcome. So it's 8 o'clock and thank you. We already have 109 of you here. And of course, Jack has just switched on his video camera as well. Right, I hope most of you can hear us loud and clear. We already did a tech check. So in case there's any tech issues, feel free to leave us any messages in the chat as well. And of course, use it to send us any remarks that you may have. All right. So while we're waiting for more people to stream in, we had 400 signups for this, and we think that people are going to be streaming in very quickly from now, just after dinner. Maybe just some housekeeping matters then. If you look down to the bottom of your screens, you will see two channels, Q&A, and you'll also see the chat function. Okay, so I think someone is saying that the chat is disabled. Not to worry, the chat will be enabled in a bit. But if I could ask your cooperation and collaboration in something, if you have any specific questions, feel free to start pummeling them in, funneling them in, even right now. Later on, Jack is going to be doing a little sharing before we get into Q&A. So any questions that you have, please put it under Q&A. Any other remarks, insights, sharings, opinions, we want to hear from you, please leave them in the chat. The Q&A channel will close after the first 25 minutes. So if you do have any burning questions, please make sure to get that in, all right? And we'll try as best as possible to get to as many of your burning questions as we can. Okay, I'm just waiting for the queue to see if we can start straight away. Right now we're at 129 participants, right? And again, all chats, the chat is open. The Q&A is open as well. All right, so let's just begin, shall we? And we have many more people joining us. All right, for starters again, welcome to the Industry Guru series. This is obviously not the first time we're running it. In fact, we had started in April. This is run by People's Association. And usually this Industry Guru series is a community platform where they bring together PMATs like yourselves to get together, to bond together, usually in person. But hey, safe distancing doesn't mean social distancing. In fact, it's more critical than ever that we actually band together. And that's why we're here virtually every Wednesday and Thursday, 8 to 8:45 p.m. Now, so just to, for clarity and full disclaimer, Jack and myself, we're independents. We're doing this completely as volunteers, right, Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, Jack is nodding. Now, what this means is, now, when we talk about this really exciting topic of social businesses, social entrepreneurship, there are many cooks. We are all cooks, and we all have maybe sometimes different recipe cookbooks that we like, right? And so all of our opinions here today are our own opinions. They do not represent PA or any government organization nor the organizers, all right? So in the spirit of creative discourse, we want to hear from you today. So for those of you that just joined us, Q&A, put all your questions there, even from right now. It's going to be open for the first 25 minutes. Every other comment, remarks, opinions, please put it in the chat for us. Now, there are probably several groups of you out there today. I know people that you may be an existing social business owner. You may be someone that's kind of curious about this space, and you're thinking, what's this social business as the next economic pillar all about? Maybe you might even want to start it as a full-time or a side hustle. Perhaps you're an individual organization trying to see how you can better support worthy social businesses. Now, whatever your interest, Jack is here to answer your questions, and I'm here to kind of host and moderate. We really are serious about hearing from you today, so please keep the chats open, the questions coming, and we'll try and prioritize and answer as many of your questions as possible. My name is Romay. I'm from SUTW Impact Consulting, and I would love to kick you off today. All right, so for starters, okay, sorry, I'll try and move a little less, all right? I get a bit excited when I talk, I gesticulate quite a bit, try and keep myself focused. All right, okay. So, sorry, I'm just looking at the chat coming in. All right, so now just a very quick introduction into Jack. Right now, some of you will know him as, Mr. Toilet Guy, Toilet Man, right? He's best known for draping toilet rolls all over himself. Now, Jack is a successful serial entrepreneur, having created 16 businesses so far. He retired at the age of 40, something many of us would love to, but he didn't just rest on his laurels. In fact, after retiring, he went on to throw himself into the work of social businesses. He founded the World Toilet Organization, bringing proper sanitation to more than 2.6 billion people worldwide. Right? And he just recently founded the Base of Pyramid Hub as well, which will be telling us a little bit about. But that's my mini introduction into Jack. Now, Jack has very kindly agreed to keep his presentation to 10 minutes so that we'll have the rest of the time together for Q&A. Over to you, Jack.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jack Sim. A lot of people know me as Mr. Toilet. So I created the World Toilet Organization, and together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we managed to convince all 193 countries' government to adopt our founding day of this small NGO in Singapore called World Toilet Organization. 19th of November, our founding day became the UN World Toilet Day. So every year, governments celebrate this and solve sanitation problem. Now, today, I want to talk to you about social business. So some people ask what is social business. I will explain a bit. Basically, social business is about using business model to solve social problem. Because if you want to solve social problem by donation, it's not very sustainable. Every year you have to keep on asking for money, but you can solve it by business, it's better. So what I want to do is now to show you a small PowerPoint and then talk you through it. And after that, we can have a chit chat and then answer all your questions. What I want to hope that you can take away is that in this difficult time of unemployment, there is a lot of people in stress, and there are some solutions that I would like to offer. So I'm going to share my screen now. So, okay, can you all see my screen? Yes? Okay, so basically I'm going to talk about the next economic pillar called social business. As you know that okay. So in November 2001, I created the World Toilet Organization because there were 2.6 billion people in the world who still don't have a toilet. So that's about 40% of the world population. So how do we create a global movement to solve this problem? I created World Toilet College. We train the people who don't have a job to become a professional toilet cleaner and then also facility cleaner. So we created World Toilet Colleges in Singapore, in India. We got Amitabh Bachchan, those Indian friends who have seen this Bollywood movie will know this most famous actor. He helped us and donated equipment and trucks for us, and Harpic, which is a company selling bleach, helped us. So we trained and placed 5,000 professional cleaners in the last 2 years in India. And we think that it is possible to train people to do jobs that are available. We also created World Toilet Summit since 2001. In Singapore was the first one. And here in 2007, you see the President of India gracing our World Toilet Summit in New Delhi, together with the World Health Organization and 6 ministers, and also with the Crown Prince of the Netherlands, who is now the king. Yeah, so we are able, from a very small NGO in Singapore, create a movement around the world that also attracted President Clinton to come and do fundraising with us. We raised about 1.3 million US dollars together to do our work. And Bill Gates has also invested $200 million reinventing the toilet. So we created a movement that a lot of people join in. And Time Magazine in 2008 named me Hero of the Environment. I went to the UN to lobby together with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we managed to get 193 countries unanimously declaring 19 November as the official UN World Toilet Day. So every year, this becomes a very big legitimacy, and politicians start to use it to promise people toilet and to win election. So we got Prime Minister Modi here winning a landslide victory and building 110 million toilets in India. So this is when he came to Singapore to visit us, and this is an official two-flag photograph. Right? So in China, we are also building rainbow school toilet, and right now influencing the Ministry of Education there to build rainbow school toilet, which is a very nice program for 214,000 schools, so many schools. Right? In Singapore, we got President Philanthropy Award, and 2 years ago, the Queen gave us a Commonwealth Award. In Singapore, I then started to think about how to end global poverty and created the BOP Hub, Base of Pyramid Hub. And this is our new building next to the UB MRT station. This is in Ubi Road 4, and it's a 65,000 square foot building that we call the SDG Center, Sustainable Development Goal Center of the UN. And we want to solve all poverty issues. Now in Singapore, there's a lot of poverty, but around the world, 200 million people will lose their job in the next 3 months. So this is really serious because of the COVID. And what we need now is that if you lose money, don't lose your mind. Because if you have a money problem, you have one problem. If you are stressed by the money problem, you have two problems. So the second problem of stress is created by yourself. So stay calm, just keep to one problem. You have a money problem, think about how to solve it. And one of the ways you can do is to be a job creator instead of a job seeker, which means that you have to think how to do social business. You convert problems into opportunities. Whatever is a problem is a demand for solution and an opportunity. So if you look at platform co-op business, right now there is a Deliveroo and Foodpanda, they are charging like 30%, and then you have Hawkers United. People want to deliver themselves, don't want to pay 30%. Grab is the same. So if all stakeholders can be shareholders, whether you are a customer or a hawker or a delivery man or a driver, if all of us are flat and create co-op business, then this is a kind of social business that I think can distribute wealth very good. And we are now so used to digital, this could be a good way. And it can be applied in the same way with cleaners, with hawker center cleaners, with facility management, with home bakers, stay-at-home mom can do that, and a lot of different things, even foreign domestic made construction. I think all can find solution in digital co-op platform. We also should redesign job in Singapore so that more Singaporean can do construction business as construction work as a craftsman, because a lot of people think construction work is in the hot sun. Only some part of it is in the hot sun. A lot of it is indoor, and this can be for Singaporean who don't like to be in the hot sun. We also have a training program for the platform co-op course. So if you are interested, you just take down this email address, and I think it will appear later on as well. Then you can just email to me and I can register you to take courses. And this is from New York and from Spain and also in Singapore. So welcome. When the COVID is over, you can come over this place and visit us, this new building. So I just make it short here that life is very short, and make a useful one, and don't worry too much. There's always a solution. I've been through 3 or 4 recessions and I'm still here. So everything will be fine eventually. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jack, for that. As it is, questions are already streaming in, but I'm going to kick us off by building upon what you last said. I mean, you said if you had a financial issue, that's one problem. If we worry about that financial problem, that's 2 problems. And for us to not lose our mind. So on one hand, you mentioned that there are about 200 million people that will lose their jobs in the next 3 months. Just today, we saw Airbnb is unfortunately letting go of 25% of its workforce, about 2,000 people, and all that. So on one side, there's panic. But on the other side, as we like to say in Chinese, 危机, right? Opportunity from crisis. Now, Jack, you have lived through many crises before, global financial crisis. I'm wondering, could you share a few, right? First, in terms of crisis-born successful social businesses, to kind of frame our mindset first before we get to some of the specific questions in the Q&A section.
A lot of time crisis create a great aftermath. There's a boom, because after the crisis, it flushes out the marginal and the weak, and it gives a new life to the marginal that is, or they are actually talented but not used efficiently. So I'll give you an example. There was a company in America called Fairchild. There used to be a Fairchild in Toa Payoh, so semiconductor company, and it was doing very badly, and the people start resigning. And the engineers who lost their job eventually set up Silicon Valley, and that until today becomes so big, okay, because of joblessness. The engineers left. Then there was a company called Nokia in Finland, and this company went bankrupt because they couldn't keep up with the cell phone competition. But after Nokia went bankrupt, all their staff could not find jobs, and they created 2,000 new tech company. And Finland is now cutting edge, one of the most advanced tech country in the whole world, because these people came from Nokia and start their own. And now they are a 5G leader. China, Finland, like Nokia and Ericsson, nobody else has 5G. So this is example. When a recession happens, it is a cleaning up process, and then you have a new life after that. And you learn a lot of things, and then you become even better than if you're just employed for a very narrow scope of job. Maybe you're multi-talented, but your job gives you a very narrow job, and they give you a pay, and you're very comfortable. Now you're cleverer than before.
Right, so we talk about push-pull, right? Some people are naturally attracted to explore new areas, and the push is, maybe COVID is the push that some people really needed. Well, I think that's a pretty apt question in the Q&A. You know, so somebody asked, what do you think when we do recover, amongst the sectors, which ones will survive and which new sectors will pop up after that?
I think that the service sector in development, a developed country is usually about 2/3 of the economy, right? So I think travel is going to be in trouble. Right? Airlines, tourism, hotels, these are going to be in trouble. Retail is probably going to go online, and people will, for a time, not spend too much money. So on the other hand, creating flat business, because in the past, businesses is like a pyramid. All the money go to the big boss. Now, because people are unemployed and they're looking for opportunity, cooperative can be created, and it's very, very flat. So everyone can become either a gig economy person or a part of a network. I think that is a new digital generation that will happen. There's also another thing that's happening. Millennials doesn't want to work in jobs that are very toxic. That means for my generation, we can take it. We hate our job and we can still work there and take salary. But young people cannot. They have to work in a company that has purpose. And if those businesses are more humane and more social, I think you will attract a lot of talent, and it won't be so difficult to find stuff like you compete with big company. But if the big company compared to you, you are more humane, I think you can attract talent and grow your company.
Absolutely. So it sounds like social is not only something that does good for the beneficiary, but even for the company themselves in hiring talent. Now, Jack, I see a lot of questions, people saying, okay, maybe I'm curious about how I can begin, practically take steps to start a social business, whether full-time or on the side, right? And again, the business part of social business to make it viable at the same time as they're doing good. What practical steps would you suggest for people just starting out?
So basically, look for a problem. If you find a problem that is very large, be thankful that you spotted the problem, because other people walk by the problem every day, but they cannot see an opportunity. So when you see a problem defines what has to be done if it was solved. And if you solve that problem, you must think, then who will pay for it? Somebody will benefit. And the one who benefit could be the government, because they have more taxes, they create more jobs, they have less poverty, they have less people asking them to help. So they save the aid money and they collect taxes. So the government can help. The other one is that it is by itself profitable. For example, right now you go to Red Mart, you go to queue up for delivery slot, you cannot find. You try to buy grocery online, you can't find a slot for delivery. You have to drive yourself and go and get your grocery, right? So that is a problem. And when there's a problem, there must be a solution. So digitize problem and find solution. I think there is so many solutions that need to be found. You see the construction worker, they have mafia over the other side arranging, and they take like 10 months salary, sometimes 1 year salary, just to pay their air ticket, get their passport, come over here. These are solutions that we can take over the mafia, because what you have to do, you ask the local maid and the local construction worker to introduce their relative and friend over the other side. You don't need this. You just create the arrangement and bring them here, because the local people are already here and they can bring their relative over. These are co-op platform solutions that we can create together. And actually, it's fairer also, because why should the money go to all these middlemen?
That's right. So Jack, let's build upon that a bit further. Now you're talking about removing the middlemen that take up a lot of margins, right? Whether it's for food delivery for the hawkers or even for construction workers, bringing them here to Singapore. Now, for example, let's take Hawkers United Dabao 2020, 260,000, and we know it was started by a hawker himself, Melvin, right? So that's not his day job. Now, the question is, could you tell us a bit more about this cooperative model and how different people can be involved in it so it's sustainable? Because I think that model is quite new before.
For example, is it very difficult to create an app? I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just the marketing and the sign up and all that. So we are under the impression that only Americans can create apps. Nonsense. That type of thing is we can solve ourselves. But in the past, you see all these young people starting in Block 71, right? Why is it so few created successful startup? It's because we don't have much problem. Everything was so safe. You follow the government instruction and you have a job. Today, got problem. And when there's problem, there is opportunity. And therefore, today is the time when you do start up, you can clearly know who is your customer. Last time, you go and create apps that book cinema ticket, and what's the point? There's not a real problem to solve.
So first, solve a real problem. Of course, app is just one potential means to the solution. But I want to take that a little further, right? So let's say whether it's an app or another social entrepreneurship solution, sometimes social entrepreneurs struggle with funding. You know, they think they have to go to VCs. And as we know, VCs, if they're not impact investors, they have a very high ROI threshold or hurdle that you have to cross. So someone here asked a question about, you know, someone founding a tech company is trying to create a business with a strong social enterprise focus, but fundraising with a social conscience is something that traditional VCs seem to hate. Do you have any ideas? What do you say, Jack?
Yeah, so it depends on how you do your social business. For example, our building is so big, 65,000 square foot. We want to do a training kitchen. We want to train people to be home baker, home food business, and then follow the NEA license. So if you want to start this training kitchen, you just email me, and then I say, you're the boss, you go and run, and then you say how to set up, how to money. I will go and find the bankrupt restaurant to donate their equipment to us. So many restaurants are bankrupt. All this kitchen equipment, nobody buy. So you can create things out of nothing. And then you don't get a salary, but you train people and then you get this $500 from SkillsFuture and all that, then it pays itself. You have to think out and imagine all the different situations. And then after that, you can also grow it. And the most important is that so many people who learn can then cook at home and sell within their HDB flat, their neighborhood. They can even deliver themselves by, not too many. They can deliver with their neighborhood. No need to drive, right? So these are the kind of things that are possible. There's no limit. You just keep thinking. The more problem, the more solution. If there's no problem, that's the biggest problem. In the past, we have no problem. Every time we want to find problem, we have to go outside. That's why I always go to India. I go to the poorest country because that's where so much thing to do. Singapore, nothing to do, but now have. So I want to work here.
Wow. So yeah, in the past, you could say we were a little bit too cushy, but now we have tons of problems in our own backyard as well. So hopefully that spurs us to be creative. Let's build upon a little bit more. So you're saying that VCs, right, and investors are not the only way that you can raise capital for new social businesses. It's about being creative. For example, matching supply and demand, right? So for, I think a lot of social initiatives recently we see it. So for example, if a drink store owner is having trouble, or an ice cream owner that I know of, actually small business, he was in trouble because he couldn't sell his ice cream. On the other hand, someone wanted to help him and also support the NCID people. And so they bought 800 tubs of ice cream to be sent to NCID, for example. So you're saying that be creative, don't just look for institutional investors, but see how you can get what you need from people that may be in trouble themselves, problem and solution matching in a way.
Try your best not to find a VC, because a VC is a shark. He's crazy, he's greedy, money every day. So try every time you get into bed with somebody who is aligned with you. Because if you go with a VC, he's going to pressure you until you go mad, So try not to, okay? The other one is don't have high overheads. A lot of these people start a business and then they start to pay themselves, $10,000 salary and all these things. Then they employ a lot of staff. Then eventually the burn will disappear and then money cannot be found, right? So always stay very, very lean and frugal. And it is possible to work people very hard, because if the staff love you and feel like a team, they don't mind work very hard for you. But if you act like an arrogant big boss, then 5 o'clock they go home already, right? So there's a lot of a human feeling involved in business. You ultimately have to be a good person that people will want to work hard for you.
That's true. So, entrepreneurship is not just a science, but also the art behind it. But Jack, because a lot of people are asking about viability, sustainability from the financial end and funding options. So there's VCs up there, and then there's bootstrapping. Is there a kinder in between?
I will tell you something. There is no such a thing in the world called a profitable business with no investor. No such a thing. Okay? If that idea has a problem, that means there is a customer and there is a payee. The customer sometimes is not the payee, but most of the time he is. If there is a profit and you can project it, and the profit includes your character. If your character is somebody who is very afraid, then don't do business. But if you are not afraid, if you are calm and you are thinking very sharp, then do business is very good. So every maybe 100 people, one or two guys become businessmen, I think it's all right. Because there are those people frozen by fear. Everything also cannot. You tell him, what about this? He will give you another 10 reasons why cannot. And every day he keep asking you question, teach me how to do business. You cannot teach a person how to do business. You can ask the person to open up his eyes and be courageous and look for business. And if you are not like that, then you cannot do. So a lot of people are actually very talented, but when they are forced to, their talent come out. But before they are forced to, actually, they don't know that they are so talented.
Right. So you're saying that probably there's a group of people that are, you know, if we do the nature-nurture spectrum, there are people that maybe are kind of naturally drawn to entrepreneurship. There are those that where a push can make them more of the entrepreneur. And there are those that are probably not cut out to be an entrepreneur at all, right? So actually that brings me to a question someone asked, which is, what about for those people? Because not everybody has the capability or the appetite to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. How else can one be involved in the social business sphere or model then? If they're not
the way is to be a support person. You join and you learn, and then you go and start yourself. So in the beginning, I failed everything in school because I'm really bad in studying, right? So O-level, everything failed. So I became a salesman after the army, and I learned how to do sales, and then I start business. So this is all possible. Nowadays, nobody work for you for life. You work for 3 years, 2 years. You can learn something. You give your boss a lot of value while you are there. It's a fair deal. You start. Otherwise, you continue, but you grow inside as what is called intrapreneur, inside your company. So either way, you will get by. But the most important thing is life is not about being the richest man in the graveyard. Have enough and do good. And always in your heart, have an intention for other people. Because when you think for other people, you are happier. If you think for yourself, you are always very stressed.
Right. So I think that does answer questions about people asking for encouragement and advice for those who have not actually been able to secure employment over the last few months. So that would be.
If you are very depressed, don't look for a counselor or psychiatrist. Go and help a person worse than you. You will be cured. If you think your problem is very big, you saw somebody's problem even worse than you, and you go and help that person, you will be out of your depression.
Right. So find a bigger problem than the one that you have. It puts things in perspective straight away, right?
Yeah. Then you realize that you don't have a really big problem.
Interesting. Now I'm just looking at more of the questions coming in and trying to group some of them, right? Now, I think some people are asking specifically about the Base or Pyramid Hub. Does BOP Hub or any platform you know of provide consultancy support or mentorship to support people that might be interested in social businesses?
Yeah. I'm here for you. So if you want guidance, mentorship, you come to me. Just talk to me. But you want money, I don't have, okay? Because the money comes from your brain, your acumen, your hands, your leg, and nobody owe you a living. But if you want to create something for yourself, then let's talk. And maybe you can connect with a few people. We also have a course on a co-op platform, and there is an online part, and there's a part that you have to go and create your business yourself. And after you create that, let's go and find some funding. Government also got some investment, but you need to have a viable business, right? So when forced to, human beings are very talented, but in the past, nobody forced us. So we look like a bit dumb, but now we're very clever because we're in crisis. Crisis make us clever.
So, previous to this COVID crisis, the government had been pumping so much money into startup initiatives, right? Trying to get people to be more entrepreneurial. I guess there's no better push than something like COVID, right? Big problem, creativity.
you go to the Block 71 and you ask the young people, they all try to be like American, Silicon Valley. I went to Silicon Valley to study 3 months on scholarship at Singularity University, and I thought, no lah, most of them also fail. Americans also fail. And because they don't have a purpose in their business. When you do social business, the energy is higher because you not only want to get yourself some income, you actually want to solve a problem for many other people. And this energy will make you become very, very intelligent and very resourceful. And also other people will want to help you because you are helping others. You will realize that a lot of people want to volunteer with you also. Even if you want to find mentor and coaches for you, it's easier.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we're entering a session where most of you are admitted now as panelists, which means you can see one another's names. And if you'd like to turn on your videos as well, that's fine, but just do keep yourself on mute. Now, actually, Jack, I wanted to build upon that point. Many social entrepreneurs I've had the pleasure to know, they are energized by purpose. They have great energy. They tend to also be good bosses. And there are certainly people that want to do good. But on the other hand, they seem to always struggle again with that financial profitability part of the equation that allows them to go on. What pitfalls would you advise social entrepreneurs or aspiring ones to avoid? Maybe 3 big pitfalls based on your experience.
So social entrepreneurship solve 2 problems: private good and public good. The public good part has to be paid by the government, but because sometimes they couldn't see it or don't have the tools to solve it, then you take over this part. And that is why social entrepreneurship is a little bit more difficult than commercial business. However, commercial business is very highly competitive. You go out there, after a while, you have a lot of competitors. Social business don't have much competitor because the problem not yet solved. So in a way, social business is more long-lasting than commercial business. And especially nowadays, multinational, they have so much market power. When they fight you, they are always fighting you commercial business. Multinational won't do social business. You know what multinational do for social business? They partner you. They give you their CSR money. And then they get this sustainability, goodwill, branding back. So in a way, social business, you have more safety than commercial business.
Yeah, you're saying basically when you go into commercial business, you're fighting the big boys head on. But
Yeah.
actually, and when you bring yourself as social business, actually you can invite the big boys to give you money or partner you, right? And spin out.
Always remember, whether you're social business or commercial business, you have to make profit. If you go out there to do social business and don't make profit, you are called an NGO, non-profit organization. Okay, but you are not. You have to make profit. It's just that the business that you do solve a social problem, and today is the best time because there's so much problem, a lot of problem. I can tell you, we have 20% working poor before COVID. Now, maybe 30, 35, 40%. So the problem is huge. And the good thing is the government got money. So if you have a social business, we can talk to them because they also cannot afford so many people out of job. Where are they going to get their taxes? So it's better to get them, support these people, make the money, then pay them taxes. Then in the way, they also get a return on investment, not by equity, but by taxes.
So quick question, Jai. It's true that a lot of social enterprises, they actually quickly fall into just relying on grants and contributions from government, very much like any traditional non-profit organization. How do we successfully, how did you manage to successfully help maybe businesses you have mentored or even your own businesses pivot away from that trap or that model?
First of all, use resources outside. Be very frugal. It could be you, your partner, just few people. Don't pay salaries and employ a lot of people. The minimum number. Then work very hard and leverage all the other resources by the alignment of partners. You see, when I try to get politicians to build toilet, I do not tell the politician, be very kind, please go and build toilet. I tell them, toilet gets a lot of media. Every year I get 2 to 3 billion, 2.2 to 3 billion audience reading about World Toilet Day, World Toilet Summit, World Toilet Organization. If you were to promise people toilet, you are going to win election. Do you want to win election? They say, good idea. I'm going to build toilet. Do you think they build toilet because they love the people? No. They build toilet to win election. So I don't care he win election. I care people get toilet. So I incentivize people like that. You see, you know what is 3 billion audience? It is one Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style came, got 3 billion download, disappear after 1 year. For us, the last 20 years, every year we have 2 to 3 billion audience. And this is coming out from Singapore. And the Straits Times doesn't want to report it because, why? It is outside Singapore. So once a while they talk about it, right?
So it's about being quite practical and very good at, angling as well. It doesn't matter if the other side is socially kind like the way you are, so long as you can manage a win-win angle. So I suppose, was that the commercial model for World Toilet Organization that has made
you leverage. After you leverage, the politician, the bureaucrats will write budget, people will get toilet, and then the UN will create policy, and then the celebrities like Matt Damon came to help. This Akshay Kumar, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, all these people came to help. Because, not because they want to help, because it makes them famous. So these are the things, always exchange, give somebody something and get something for somebody else. And I will teach you all these things. You just come.
Quid pro quo, isn't it? You give them what they want and they actually help you achieve what you want to achieve.
You know, if you come, I help you, you know what I get? I feel good if you help people. And I cannot claim your credit, but I feel good myself. So that's my reward.
Your ROI is your endorphin high, I guess. Makes you happy. Well, actually, there are some people that are asking very specific questions. For example, a swimming coach, how can they retool or pivot? I think for those very specific questions, they are very valid. I would direct you to Jack after the session privately so you can go deeper. So Jack has very generously agreed for you to approach him, and his contacts are in the chat as well.
You just write email to me, I'll reply you. If not immediately, over a few days, I'll reply, because maybe I get 200 questions, I'll reply 200 questions. But I am devoted to solve social problem. And because Singapore got no problem, I went overseas. Now Singapore got problem, so I come back and help.
Thank you for being
I cannot go and talk to the government and say do this, do that, because they don't listen to me. So you just talk to me and then we'll figure out based on the market solution. And then if we still need their help, let's try.
Yeah, so we are 2 minutes, or we are 1 minute now away from 8:45. Now, Jack, I know there are still questions and chats coming in. So we just want to we want to extend this by another 15 minutes. So Jack has agreed to stay on to 9 p.m. So if you have to go, thank you for joining us. And be sure to follow up if you have any specific questions, write to Jack or write to PA Industry Guru series. Do also go and like the PMAT Facebook page so that you can get the recording when it's ready in the next 2 days, and also sign up for future Industry Guru series webinars, which are all going to be very interesting. So do stay on. Please leave if you have to. We completely understand and thank you. But please stay on to 9 o'clock if you would like to discuss further. All right, so let's take on any other questions that are here. Now, I want to flag this one. It's really interesting. Someone said, Jack, you started a World Toilet Day or World Toilet Organization. If you could start a new World XX Day, what social cause would that be?
So this one is about ending poverty, because World Toilet Organization is to solve 2.6 billion people don't have toilet. But BOP Hub is to solve 4 billion people who are still poor, earning less than $8 US a day. And if you earn $2 to $3 a day, you cannot buy energy, water, filtered water, no electricity, no toilet, no nutrition, very little food. So these are the things I think all the problem in the poverty can only be solved if the poor earn more money. And how does the poor earn more money? Use their brain, teach them, give them technology, give them skill, connect them with market, access to knowledge, access to market, access to customer, access to technology, and access to finance. If they have these 5 access, everybody get out of poverty. You see Singapore, 1965, I was born 1957. Singapore is such a poor country. And then in 25 years, 1990, we became a first world country. We didn't rely on foreign aid. We didn't rely on donation. Lee Kuan Yew said, nothing is for free. And he tell the foreigner, don't give me money. Give us job, invest. We'll give you tax holiday. And the foreigner invested and Singaporean got skilled and then they can earn more money. And every year we ask the lower industry, garment and car industry all get out. And then we move higher and higher up the ladder. And we became a rich country. This lesson, we have to do it one more time because we have lost our spirit of pioneering. And now, because of the crisis, we will have pioneers one more time. And the same solution was copied by China. And then they got 700 million people out of poverty in the last 30 years. So this Singapore Lee Kuan Yew formula is super good one. In Africa, Rwanda copied Singapore model, called themselves the Singapore of Africa, became the fastest growing African state. 50 over state. This country have genocide, landlocked, and grow so fast because they copy Singapore. So what Singapore have to do now? Copy ourselves, our past again. And we'll be.
Let's build upon that a little bit more because you mentioned that you're right. Initially, we started very well. We pulled ourselves from third world to a first world country. But in the last 5-10 years, especially 5 years, our income disparity has been growing. You mentioned working poor from 20%, likely 35-40%. Right? Where have we lost our way? And again, how can we return that power and that access, perhaps through tech or otherwise, to empower people now from the ground up? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
We lost our way because we focus on GDP. We focus on average income, not distributed income. So the poor doesn't get into the average. The auntie who is cleaning the hawker center table, the salary is very low. You got $600 salary, you don't have a minimum wage. So you bring in those Facebook, Google, private banking, the whole Marina Bay financial center. Of course, your average went up. But who get the money? The money go to the very rich. If 1 billionaire move from London and live in Singapore, then our average will go up. But the money is not received by the auntie in the hawker center. So this is social business. We have to redistribute wealth through a market mechanism. But we never had this killer instinct because we were so comfortable. And more slowly we find, oh my goodness, 20% need government support. That means salary too low lah. If you have to eat at hawker a bowl and you pay $3, $2.50, how can he make money? So we have to rethink all these things. And so prices rise a bit, distribution is more equal. I think that's fairer.
Now, I think the government has been doing a lot in the immediate term to try and bolster and support people, right? Whether the working poor or those that are struggling in between. Someone asked the question though, how would you rate the government's existing support for social businesses? And what further support do you think the government could provide to grow this new economic pillar, social businesses, so that maybe we can enable and help the working poor, for example, and improve our distributed income, not just average income? What else can the government be doing at a more systemic, longer term level?
I think got to let people come out with solution, not give them free money and then they will think up some strange, silly idea just to take your $50,000 and then waste it, and then they also waste their time. And while they are wasting their time, you are losing taxes. So it's no good. Go for quality. Don't go for numbers. Oh, I have how many startup? Always the university tell me, we got so many startup. I say, very good. So many. How come so many? How come you don't have success? He said, let them try. I said, no, cannot let them try. Invest in the serious one and train the people soft skill. You see, the school doesn't train anyone on soft skill. They train them on hard skill. But it is the soft skill that make you successful. Curiosity, courage, compassion, commitment, collaboration, calmness. If you don't know how to collaborate, if you don't have love in your heart, if you are arrogant like sovereign lady, you're never going to be a good boss. So these are the soft skills school must teach. But school don't teach because no time to teach. Hard skill, easy to mark. Soft skill, very subjective. So I think we need people to build up their soft skill. Educational system cannot be fear-based. Fear of losing, fear of failing, cannot. Education must be love-based. I enjoy learning. That's why it was fear-based. That's why I failed everything in school. But I went to society. Luckily, I got back on my foot. So now if you need help, you just ask me. But I'm not going to force you to be successful. Only you want to be successful, you can't ask me. If you ask me to persuade you to be successful, don't come and talk to me.
I love that. I think, soft skills, obviously, that's kind of a longer term thing we have to build. But in the short term, Jack, I want you to now kind of, if you were a government advisor today, maybe you are the guys with the money in your hands, you are from the government, and you have money now to build up social businesses as the next economic pillar, right? Going back to our theme, what would be your rubrics or criteria? What kinds of social businesses would you invest in? How would you rate someone with good potential to be a successful entrepreneur?
There's only one type of people to invest in. The type that never give up. If you can find a person, you know he will never give up, you can put your money on that person. But if you want to give money to a person who just want to try, that character is very weak, you will waste your time. Because when they face deep problem, they run away. So you have to identify quality people who are committed to solve a problem and will never run away. I have people who lose money, but I hang in there with them because I know they don't run away. I also hope that they recover. So these are the kind of thing we have to you have to be such a person before people can trust you and invest in you. And you can be such a person if you remove your fear. The lesser your fear quotient, the clearer is your mind. If every day you kalang kabut, very panic, you cannot solve problem. You will be firefighting every day.
Right. So let me ask you then, Jack, if let's say you're evaluating someone to invest in, say you had a pocket of money, there are 100 people applying for this fund, you can only choose 10. How do you actually know who is the one that does not give up? Because you don't know them, you haven't known them for a long time. How do you assess, you mentioned courage, compassion, collaboration, calmness, and also then grit, right, and tenacity. How do you tangibly assess that and decide who you want to invest time, energy, money in?
You have to test them over a period. Give them some degree of difficulty. You have to test their gumption. You also have to test their honesty. You have to test their intelligence. So many things to test. You cannot sit in an interview 1 hour later, you say this is like that. Unless there's a track record. If that person already repeat a few times, then you know it's good. But if he repeat a few times, he won't need you. He already successful. So you have to test the person. You have to ask him very blunt questions and see whether the guy honest. A lot of people try to impress you. Especially, you know how they impress you? They speak to you with an American accent. Then they think it's very impressive. Sounds like, you know, American. Forget about it. Just look at the character.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to what you were saying about the longer term soft skills and emphasis on the things that truly matter. And of course, I think that warrants a separate session altogether. Now, we only have a final 5 minutes. So in closing, actually, Jack, I wanted to ask you, besides approaching you directly, what other resources, podcasts, books, you know, quotes, any resource at all that you might point people to if they wanted to do a bit more research, reading, self-education on anything you have said today, social businesses or growing their fear, you know, testing, pushing themselves out of the comfort zone? Any resources to recommend?
No, don't read any book. The only resource is to go and talk to yourself. Ask yourself who you want to be. Why are you like that? Why are things not moving the way you would like it to be? And don't pretend. Be very honest, because the only person who will answer your question honestly is you. If there is another person, you will have to pretend already. Therefore, don't read anything. The best book is to read yourself. Go and stand in front of the mirror and have a good conversation with yourself. And if you are your best friend, you will know answers to the question. But if you are always afraid, you're not even honest with yourself, then you will not find answer. Because all these books, you know how they wrote the books? By observing successful people and take a few dimensions and say, oh, you know, Steve Jobs is like that. No, it's too complicated. It's not like that or like this. No book can capture a person's deep thinking. Only you know yourself. If you read the book called You, it is a very comprehensive book. And once you start to find peace in your heart, the clarity will teach you where to go, what to do, what resource, who to ask, and get guidance. If you are afraid, you know what happened? You won't even ask questions. You won't even tell people you have problem. You keep quiet. You make it a secret. You want to guard your face, you know, and then you will continue to be in trouble.
That's right. I like that. I think it's really the inside out approach. Very often our system teaches us outside in. What's out there? How do we reverse engineer? You're saying, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to study the very first book that's been with us throughout our lives, and that's ourselves. Find clues and patterns and weave the chapters together to see what new chapter it naturally leads to. And that maybe is then the inspiration for these new social businesses that might emerge, right, Jack?
Always think of yourself as a good person first, and then a very clever person. Imagine yourself as very clever. I'll tell you how. When I was young, I don't know how to solve problems. I always think, if Lee Kuan Yew was here, how will he solve the problem? Then I will say, if Lee Kuan Yew was here, he will solve it this way. And then I will go ahead to solve it according to what I thought Lee Kuan Yew would do. But Lee Kuan Yew wasn't there. The answer was provided by me. So I pretend I'm cleverer than I am, and then I become cleverer, right? So this is all possible. But first of all, be honest with yourself.
Right.
Always, if you are screwed up, say you screw up. If you are stupid, say you're stupid. Say it to yourself. And then you will be free from all this pretense, and you will find answers. Right. And you still don't know answer, you email me.
We be brutally honest first, right? And then, but also kind of bolster with good self-confidence. If really we forget everything or we are lost, maybe go to Jack. But first, read yourself.
Continuously ask questions. If I go to Israel to teach, I'm a professor now. For some reason, I become Lee Kuan Yew School master degree, and I'm a professor now, right? I teach in Israel. the student non-stop ask question. No wonder their country is so smart, you know.
By
In
the way,
Singapore, people don't ask question. That is the problem. Keep on asking question. Curious, 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 curious.
very
You will
interesting.
find answers.
It's true, Jack. And I think, you know, the point of Israel, curiously, I was there just end of last year before they closed our borders to us early this year. And that thing actually comes from the yeshiva culture where they are challenged, they are told to challenge their rabbis from young. And
Yes.
unsurprisingly, they are startup hub today. So I think we need to keep asking ourselves and then one another, and even whether it's the government or one another, our teachers, mentors, bosses, colleagues, questions in a constructive spirit is what you're saying, a spirit of inquiry.
In Israel, if the teacher has a student who is smarter than him, he's so happy. He tell all the other teacher, wow, I got one student smarter than me. In Singapore, the teacher feel insulted. That's the problem. You know, the rabbi asks you to challenge the Torah and challenge the religion and challenge the Bible. And if you think it's not true, just say so. But in Christianity, they say it's blasphemy. They're angry with you if you challenge. So this is the difference between the Jews and the other religion.
So
Spirit
I think
of inquiry.
And if we were to draw that back, I think that's a wonderful way to close, really, that spirit of curiosity, of inquiry, right, of being brutally honest, right, and then using that as the fount of inspiration for new social businesses. And I think with that, I wanted to leave everybody with a quote first. And I think we all know this quote from Winston Churchill. He said that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life from what we give. And I think if we learned anything today now with social businesses, we can now get a life and also make a living. So with that, I just wanted to thank Jack for being so generous with his time. Thank you so much, Jack, for all your very candid insights. And again, these are all our independent opinions. Thank you to all of you for staying with us, 141, even though we extended the time. Thank you, of course, to Wendy, Daphne, Yifang, Ishane, right, the whole industry guru team. Alicia, there's been really kind of pivotal behind the scenes to make this happen for you in record time. So thank you so much for just being here, for being curious. Again, this is just the beginning, as Jack said. Start asking yourself questions, read your book, find the clues, and if you're still a bit lost and you want extra guidance, I suppose you could write to Jack and find other mentors as well. Jack,
Yes.
any final closing words?
No, basically, be yourself. Don't be afraid. Every recession will come to an end.
Yes.
You have to be alive when the boom come back. Okay. Meanwhile, cut losses, stay frugal, don't have high burn rate, don't be too optimistic, be practical and survive. And you will survive because I survived 3 or 4 recessions. Oil crisis, 1984, 1973, 1984, 1997, 2003, all this. And then it's okay. But never enter into a mental health situation. Never. Because once you reach that, you cannot come back. So stay calm, accept losses, say never mind. You always have food to eat and a place to sleep. And hug your wife, hug your husband, hug your children, hug your dog, and be happy. Okay? Don't be miserable. It's not worth it. Even you got no money, hungry, but don't be miserable. Poor people, villagers, so happy. You go to Philippines, you see very poor people, all laughing. That's the way to live.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Jack. So I guess in short, start from inside, stay happy and keep laughing, right? And wake up tomorrow and we'll fight another day. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Take care of yourselves and your families. Give them a huge hug, right? And we look forward to many more new social businesses and curiosity sparking from this. So once again, thanks, Jack. Thank you to all of you participants for joining us and also the Industry Guru team. Again, the recording will be made available in just 1 or 2 days on the PMAT Facebook page. So just be sure to follow them and also sign up for future series that they may have. I think you'll find them interesting as well. So good night, everybody. good morning and afternoon wherever you are.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye, Jack. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.